Yo, what's up? Welcome to Kind of Funny Gamescast for Friday, June 27th, 2025. I'm one of your hosts, Blessing, Adeoye Jr. Joining me is LaCroix Poppy, Tim, fucking Yetis.
Oh, man, this weekend, Pokemon Go Fest. It's gonna
also
be so
my parade,
nice
everybody.
peaceful.
Don't forget, everybody. It's going to be my parade. San Francisco, 10 a.m. Come hang out with me and Tim. Second
I'm going to
place.
hit level 50, Bless.
I'm very excited
Officially, tomorrow.
It's going to be a very exciting day
10
for you
excellent throws away. I had to do 999. I am 10 away. It will happen at Greg's parade.
That's of course.
There'll be a lot of people to celebrate you. That's a great consolation prize. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because remember, Bless, this is
Remember, everybody.
You can buy the shirt, kindoffunny.com/store. Of course.
Team Blue, what up?
This means I get to wear my bomber jacket that I bought a year ago.
Oh, are you wearing that
maybe 2
tomorrow?
years ago. Well, I'm not yet.
Okay.
But I will wear it
Yeah.
when I get level 50. Because once I get level 50, I unlock the jacket at the game. I'll put it on my avatar. And then I will have Greg put it on my back.
I like that. Nothing can go wrong with that plan.
Wow, of course. That's WWE legend Greg Miller.
Hello, Blessing. How are you?
I'm doing well. I do like seeing that belt.
I'm happy to have it. You know, I didn't want to play it out before the parade. So I'm happy that here we are, parade tomorrow at 10 a.m. Biggest thing happening, kind of funny this weekend. Very excited for it.
It reminds me of, there was a few weeks ago where Randy Orton attacked John Cena and took the belt and then like posed with it. And I had the moment where I was like, man, that looks so good on Randy Orton. I'm having the moment right now where I'm like, that belt does look good.
It's meant to be with me. You know what I mean?
You have like a specific pose that you do. I feel like every wrestler has like a pose.
Well, my
with the
favorite
belt.
thing about the belt that we don't talk enough about is that it's broken in. I hate when you see the straps at a WWE event. Somebody bought the replica belt, but it's just out of the bag.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't flop. This one has such a good... This has got like the stone cold movement to it that I love.
Yeah.
It's a great belt. I'm happy it's home.
Are you bringing it tomorrow?
Of course I'm bringing it tomorrow.
He
You
is.
know what I mean? Tomorrow, just for tomorrow. Just from 10 to noon during the meet and greet / parade, right? This belt is more important than Ben. Okay? This is what I need to worry about and keep my eye on. All the other dozens of kind of funny best friends, you keep your eye on Ben. I'm not busy about that. This is what I got to worry about.
Thank you, Kevin. This is the jacket that I will be adorning my
Does it have
avatar
those
with.
same patches on already?
It does.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's a really cool thing.
Oh, yeah. Very
It's
excited.
not as cool as
about
this, but I mean, the fact that Pokemon Go has that kind of like, hey, get it in the game when you get this thing, you can buy it too. That's cool. I
Pretty
like that.
cool.
Yeah.
They also know how to make money very well.
Yes, 100%.
Remember, this is the Kind of Funny Gamescast. Each and every weekday, we get together and talk about the biggest reviews, previews, and topics in video games live on YouTube, Twitch, and on podcast services around the globe. If you love what we do, support us with the Kind of Funny membership on Patreon, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts to get all of our shows ad-free, watch us record them live, and get a daily exclusive show. For a chance to be a part of the show, submit your thoughts and opinions as YouTube Super Chats as we go. Housekeeping for you. We're an 11-person business, all about live talk shows. KFGD recapped Capcom's Direct. After this, Mike and Roger are embarking on the biggest stream Kind of Funny has ever done. They'll attempt to play the entirety of Death Stranding 2, while Mike goes step for step with Sam Porter Bridges on a treadmill, with a couple of surprises that might change everything. With your support, they're determined to make it past KFGD on Monday, and of course, order a lot of food exclusively on twitch.tv/kindoffunnygames.
It's going to be insane.
Oh,
the
yeah.
things that they have planned, I don't know everything, but I do know a lot. And my God, you guys are going to want to just not do anything this weekend unless you're in San Francisco and then you go to the parade. But if you're not in San Francisco, just stay tuned to Twitch all weekend long. They have some shenanigans and a half planned.
I have shenanigans planned for them.
Oh, great.
All right. I'm going to be, during
them.
this, handing them an envelope. And it will be very specific of open when you're the most vulnerable.
Okay. That's scary.
Yes, it is.
That's
Yes,
really
it
scary.
is.
I don't know how you feel about that.
Okay.
Greg, what are the details of the parade for tomorrow?
At 10 a.m. ferry building tomorrow on the Embarcadero. We will gather outside. I've made some signs, as you may have seen on Games Daily. I encourage you to make your own signs and bring those as well. They can either celebrate me or boo Tim. We'll meet outside at 10 o'clock, and then we will walk the Embarcadero with, I have a speaker I'm going to bring so I can play some music.
Do you have a playlist?
I haven't built it yet.
Okay.
We'll see what I'm feeling. It's what's the vibe? You know what I mean? Are these kids here to party, or are they just here to worship? I'll accept either.
Worship.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I would think a Get Low by Lil Jon could help set the mood.
Yeah.
Like some hype.
What I'll probably do is do
up.
one of those things is open up to Spotify where people can put in their own songs. You know what I mean?
like
so
that.
we can go and then you can all be part of it. But yeah, 10 o'clock in front of the ferry building. We'll pose. We'll take photos. I'm sure the mayor will show up. I've tagged him in a few of these posts. I've tagged Hunter Pence. I'm sure he'll show up.
Sure.
Then we will walk the Embarcadero to Square Pie Guys down on Beach Street, where we will get some pizzas and we will hang out. We have a great time.
Man, that's funny you're talking about walking, because me and Roger are going to be doing some walking here.
Yeah, we finished that housekeeping. We did that.
Yeah.
We put it over.
It's the most important thing of the weekend, okay? There might be a 3-time champion here, but this man, I mean, look at this beast right here. Watch out. I've walked
That could have ended the
step
stream
for
right
step
there. That
with
could have been the
Porter
end of the
Bridges.
stream.
Okay? You see this donut left? I'm going to go fuel up with some In-N-Out right now
who got
before I
the
go do
donuts?
this, okay?
Well, if you're
Roger,
gonna get in, I'll get me
you
some. But also think
self-sabotaging.
about ordering a pizza.
Roger, why are all the donuts
Pizza and In-N-Out
chocolate?
it is, y'all. We love you.
Oh.
Tune in.
Oh yeah, I got 12 donuts and she was like, "What do you want?" I'm like, "All chocolate for Mikey." You know what I mean? Because that's all he likes. That's all he likes. What do you want? Vanilla?
I want like a regular glazed donut.
There's a regular glaze in there.
Not anymore.
I ate it.
Oh, that's on him.
glaze.
You guys got to fight. You nerds got to fight.
There's like
over it.
6 chocolates in there.
That's how it whirls.
Yesterday
Or a
on
chocolate
his
donut.
Instagram
Peak
story, Roger shared private messages between him and Mike Howard. Mike texted Roger,
Nailed it.
and said, "It's crazy because tomorrow I prove to the world and myself that I can do really anything." Then a new text message. "Next time I might free solo a mountain or like write a book." Next message. "Really anything I want." And
Mike
that's
is convinced that he
that's
can
the
do
kind of
anything
hubris
he
you
wants.
have to stop, and that's what I will be doing with my manila envelope. Thank you very much.
Mr. Hawks writes in with a super chat and says, "Can't believe Tim is trying to take parade day away from Greg by focusing on some jacket. Have you no shame,
you, Mr.
Tim?
Hawks.
Sit
Thank you,
down,
Mr. Hawks.
be humble."
Mr. Hawks, you play Pokemon Go. You know the importance of this moment. You know the time and, more importantly, money that I've spent to make this happen.
And then Resolute writes in with a super chat and says, "Greg, steal the jacket and put the belt and the jacket on the line. Winner takes all."
Belt to the jacket. Greg gets my level 50.
You shouldn't even put that out there, Resolute.
that is insane work.
I did, when he said that, come up with a different idea that I'm going to work on while you keep doing your housekeeping.
There you go.
Great.
And then on Monday, Tim is premiering his wedding.
Finally. Yeah, it's been a long time coming. The 1-year anniversary of my wedding is this Sunday, which is insane. And then Monday is my birthday, and it makes more sense to put content out on work days. So we're doing that on Monday. It'll probably, if you all support the way I expect you will, be during the Death Stranding marathon stream, but this will be on YouTube. That'll be on Twitch. This will also be a VOD you can watch later. But it is the fully edited wedding, including Greg's speech, Nick's speech, like all the speeches, and the performances. Like, so it's the ceremony that some of y'all got to see live when we were live last year, but then also Cisco performing, Tonda performing, and all the other extra stuff. It's about an hour 45 total. The last 45 are like the speeches and stuff that if you don't want to have to sit through all of them, you don't need to, but they're there for you if you want to. And it's going to be a ton of fun. I worked very hard on this, and I can't wait for y'all to see it.
Hell yeah. If you're kind of funny member,
What day is tomorrow for Pokemon people?
Pokemon Go Fest,
Thank you.
day 1.
today's Greg Way is all about
Just email
which
someone.
era of gaming Greg is in. Thank you to our Patreon producers, Carl Jacobs, Omega Buster, and Delaney Twining. Today we're brought to you by... All right, are you trying to get the same bomber jacket that Tim's getting?
Don't worry about what I'm doing over here.
I'm like trying to get into Greg's brain where I'm like, what could he be trying to do right now?
Yeah.
Today we're brought to you by Cash App and Mood, but we'll tell you about that later. For now, let's start with topic of the show.
Fuck was that?
Why is that a button?
I literally was like, have I been gone from the show where that's the new Tots noise?
What was that, Kev?
I was pausing the IGN video that auto plays.
Ah.
Instead, it made the volume go up, and that was the intro.
Because that was kind of a jam. I
Yeah, I
kind of
was
like
kinda
that as the
digging that.
topic of the show jam, but okay.
Today's topic of the show is the shit list. Of course, the shit list is a special segment of Gamescast where I go online, I find a top 10 list, I bring it back to the panel, and we judge it for your amusement. Today's shit list is every Hideo Kojima game ranked. a shit list title so tantalizing that Greg, who usually isn't like a shit list guy, was like, I'm going to be on this one. We're gonna
yeah, you guys
break
usually
this
do
down.
shit lists, and they're great. I love these episodes, so I'm excited to finally be on it. Thank you very much, Tim. I know you don't like giving me the spotlight. You know what I mean? But no, usually you're doing like, Mario games. What, shit lists that you guys are doing are very much about your games and your nostalgia and this, that, the other, which of course many times aren't mine. But I mean, Kojima, come on.
So this is fresh. Of course, Death Stranding 2 just came out. This list is from IGN and got a lot of people tagging us in this one of like, oh, you got to do reaction. You got to do reaction. Every Hideo Kojima game ranked is the name of the IGN list. It is written by Matt Kim at IGN. It was posted June 20th, 2025. I think it is very safe to assume that Death Stranding 2 doesn't make this list because this is before
This
the
came out
embargo.
beforehand, yes.
So every Kojima game ranked.
Every Kojima game ranked.
This means most likely it's IGN. They do their homework. So I imagine this isn't just every Kojima game you know of. It's not just the Metal Gears and Death Stranding one.
Oh, yeah.
It'll also include Boktai.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
thank you.
Game Boy
I was
Advance.
Googling Kojima game Sunlight.
And
Now, we don't Google on this show. You got to put away
yeah,
Google.
no Googling.
No. What, to get the name of the game is all I'm Googling. I'm well aware of the game that you did the Sunlight
Okay.
for Kojima. It was a big deal. I just want to make sure I had the right thing.
Man, be careful around there. You know what I mean? Try to go off the top
What's the
of the
other
dome.
one? Psychonauts, not
No.
Psychonauts.
Police
Knots.
Nuts. And then
Snatcher.
Don't you're looking at the chat.
I'm not looking at this chat.
You're telling me I
I'm
can't
not looking at the
Google.
chat.
He's staring at the
I
fucking
was doing a
chat.
fucking 1,000-mile gaze over there, okay? I was like trying to close my mind.
Wait, so it's Police
Open my
Knots, Boktai, and then what was the other one?
Snatcher. It's the other one,
Snatcher.
yeah.
I don't know Snatcher. I've heard the other two. I'm gonna assume Snatcher's at the bottom, having not known Snatcher.
Sure.
Tim, what are you? What are you thinking right now?
I wonder
Yeah,
too if those are the oldest games too. I don't know
Well,
how.
they're not, right? Because we have
We have Metal Gear, like the older Metal
Right.
Gears.
Well, shit. Fuck. You're
And
right.
I don't know if they're
guess,
going to include multiple versions because there's the NES one and then there's the MSX one, and
they'll
are.
put that under one.
You think?
I do.
There's no notable
But I'm
differences.
pretty sure they're
like big notable
fairly
differences.
different. I could be wrong about that too.
So we got two Metal Gears: Metal Gear 1, Metal Gear 2. Have you guys played? I remember playing the original Metal Gear on like NES, but I never
completed.
It was that
didn't
thing.
get far.
I was so into Solid that I went back on Faf. Shout out to Faf's NES. He had it, and I was like, oh shit! And I borrowed the whole thing and played. I dropped off, and then collections have had them again.
Yeah.
Where it's the same thing. You start it up as like, I really don't need to do this.
Pretty sure the Metal Gear Solid 3 Subsistence came with
Yeah,
the
one of those.
MSX version.
Somebody in
And I
chat says
played-
there are 3 Metal Gears. Is that true?
Well, because I'm pretty sure, I might be wrong about this, but I think on the MSX there's Metal Gear 1 and then Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake.
Yeah.
And then on NES, I think one of them is the same, and then there's a second one that's like a different game.
Really?
But I definitely could be wrong about that. I just feel like there was enough difference between them. I don't know. Someone's going to have to correct us here.
2 has 2 versions, Chad is saying. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, okay, so maybe I'm right.
I like that we're starting with all the games around the
Yeah.
edges before we get to like the core stuff. Because then, what are you about to say?
Well, I just want to make sure we're not missing anything here, because obviously there's Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, 3, 4,
Mm-hmm.
Peace Walker, but there's a couple that I just don't know if he worked on or not.
For
Did he
for
work
Metal
on
Gear.
Ghost Babel, the Game Boy Color one?
No, I don't think he did.
Did he work on Acid?
1 and 2.
No, I don't think he did.
Okay.
That one
Did he
I'm
work
less
on
confident in.
Revengeance.
Do you,
No.
Can we
Well,
read the Can we read
yes.
the Can we read
No.
the lead? No, he didn't work on Revengeance.
Okay.
It might have been like he signed off. He
Yeah.
gave his blessing. Can we read the lead? Does Matt say
Sure, we can
anything?
read the lead. Okay. Here, let me open up the article from Matt. I was going to say Matt Piscatellum. Matt Kim. With the release of Death Stranding 2 on the beach, Hideo Kojima enters his 4th decade in game development as a director. While the celebrated auteur has spent the majority of his career so far working on the Metal Gear series, Death Stranding 2 sees him expanding upon his newest universe, where he both introduces new concepts and revisits some of its most enduring ideas. With a truly staggering list of credits in his impressive resume, there's no better time to revisit every genre-defying adventure Kojima has taken us on. Here's every Kojima game that he directed or designed,
Okay.
ranked from worst to best.
Okay.
Directed or designed.
And so chat's
So-
calling out like he was executive producer on Acid and gave his blessing on the. So like
So I say we leave those out.
producer
Yeah.
on Ghost Babel. Yeah,
Okay.
I
Because I think
would've-
he's producer on anything that has Metal
Yeah,
Gear.
no, I wouldn't put those in there.
Zone of the Enders.
Zone of the
One
that's
and
where I was
2.
going to take it. I'm typing these things down. We can. I don't. It's the weird thing of I don't have much opinion about the arrangement of these games that we're listing so far.
Yeah. We'll just get them there.
Zone of the Enders 1 and 2.
Would it be possible to see how many titles are on the list without spoiling it for yourself?
Kevin, could you check to see how many like what's the first number?
12.
12. Okay.
We must be close.
Well, I just typed down 7 games.
Does
And
that
I'm-
include the,
And that doesn't even include the second Metal Gear 2.
which might not be him?
There's no way, because then we're talking about 5 Metal Gear Solids. We're talking about Peace Walker, right?
Does Ground Zeroes count as a
2.
separate thing?
I would-
No.
I would count Ground Zeroes as a separate game. It came out like a year before Phantom Pain.
God, it was so good.
Ground Zeroes?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a fun one. We must be doing, there's something off with this list if there's only 12.
What was his official title on Zone of the Enders?
That is a good question.
That's
a good
where I think
question.
we really
Specifically
start
two.
getting into like, what are we talking about?
Yeah. All right, well then let's lock into like what we know are going to be the main ones here.
Yeah.
So we got the Metal Gear Solid franchise, and we have the Death Stranding franchise, and we have PT. I think those are the 3
You're
pillars.
right.
Those are the
You're
3
right.
main pillars of Kojima.
Yeah. Wow. A lot of games. This
How
gets
many,
hard.
how many were on the list?
12.
Oh, shit.
What do you guys think?
Do you want me to paste down? I'm below you typing stuff in. I can toss in the rest for you.
Oh yeah, sure. What do you guys think they go for top 3? I think Metal Gear Solid 3 is in there.
I mean, let's have this conversation first.
Uh-huh.
Is Death Stranding top 3?
No.
No.
Because I feel like where we place
not.
Death Stranding is the win
PT?
too.
Top 3.
Really?
I think so. We're guessing IGN's list.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think it's complete enough.
Dude, if Death Stranding, here's the thing, if Death Stranding 2 was out by this list, I would say Death Stranding 2 is top 3. Death
Sure.
Stranding 1 is not top 3. Death Stranding 1 might not make it above like any core Metal Gear Solid.
And we said there was 12
Maybe
games on
5.
this list?
Yeah, PT. I love it. And it definitely was like a cultural moment.
Yeah.
But I don't, you can't put that above so many of the Metal Gears.
Can you put it above 5?
No, I don't think, personally, I don't think you can put it above any.
Personally, I wouldn't put it above 5.
Any of the Metal Gear Solids.
But I think IGN could.
That's my thing.
I think
I've seen
IGN
Matt
could put it
Kim.
above 5.
I know Matt Kim. I've talked to Matt Kim. He's got really great hair and glasses. I could see him being one of those guys.
One of those guys.
I think PT is one of those ones where they're going to want to make a statement.
Yeah.
I think that's one of,
They're
hey,
gonna want to
PT's
get
actually really.
headlines of us talking about it.
Now,
Yeah.
granted, it's a full Kojima list, and so like, you put PT above.
Well, now you have to ask yourself, is it?
I mean,
There's 12 games on the list. We have at least 15. Is there one below that? No, 15 is what we've listed right now. Not again. I don't know what we've.
Yeah, so
I don't,
it's like-
I don't know Zone of the Enders.
That's
well.
my thing is I think you end up cutting. Maybe we don't know something about the director for like Zone of the Enders or something, but I think at the very least, like PT is going above the Metal Gear games, like the OG
Yeah.
Metal Gear games.
Yeah,
I think so. For
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Is-
What about Boktai? I remember it. I never played it,
I didn't like it.
but he was director on that, right? That was a big deal, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to say, yeah. But
I remember
it's
it was.
pretty
I
hazy.
remember it being. I was such a Metal Gear guy, and then Game Boy Advance. He's doing this thing that involves sunlight. I was
It's
like,
funny
okay.
because I feel like Zone of the Enders 1 was him, but then 2 wasn't directing. And I don't know why I think that. 2's better than 1. I can tell you that. So we could rank it that way.
For Zone of the Enders?
Yeah.
Fair enough. We got our first
We got-
confident placement here. Here's what I'm trying to think. Are the top 5 just Metal Gear Solids 1 through 5? Or is there a wrench in there?
See, I think that's why PT is going to be up there.
Yeah.
I think,
I
I think
think
Matt
the-
Kim would have stepped back, taken a drag off his long cigarette. He's got a really cool cigarette. I don't know if he smokes. But like, I got to make this cooler.
I personally, I think the reality is Metal Gear Solid 1 through 5 should be 1 through 5. Now, I say that as not a Death
I
Stranding guy.
agree.
So if you guys want to fight,
Do you
for
mean
Death
them in
Stranding-
order?
no.
No.
Just as far as like they all make
question,
yeah.
just question.
The order, I think that obviously is going to be the
That's
bulk
good.
of this
I mean, fucking
conversation.
Peace Walker should be
Right.
higher than some of these Metal Gears tossing out there.
Yeah. Well, I know you feel that way.
I do
mean,
feel
yeah,
that way.
he's
and I'm
like-
right.
yeah.
IGN
But
scores
which-
agree
which
with me.
one?
Crazy, dude.
Oh, I mean, well, then you get into my personal
Yeah,
preferences. But I mean, like,
yeah.
but I mean, like,
PT is going to be higher than Peace Walker.
here's what I would say that's going to be a bold statement. A lot of people are going to want to bite my dick off about it and go for it. I don't care. I'm the champion. See you tomorrow. Bite it at San Francisco. Metal Gear Solid 5 is an incomplete game. We all know. We know how great it is and how amazing it is and all these different things, but all the systems you loved of Metal Gear Solid 5 are in Peace Walker, and it has an actual amazing story. So that's why I would, right there, I'm going to throw Peace Walker above 5. Thank you, Blessing.
Listen.
I love 5. This isn't me
Listen.
talking. I love these games.
Yeah, but 5 had it though. You know what I mean? Wait, did we separate Ground Zero or Ground Zeroes from?
I think
From
when we're
the
talking
other
about 12 games at IGN, they're not separating these.
I think
so
you
we're
got
wasting
to.
our time.
That's a mistake. We're
We're-
not separating them.
Call
I
Matt Kim
agree.
right now. Get him to stop buying
gotta
these fancy
separate them.
cigarettes. But he's so fancy, he doesn't even have a phone. You have to call someone else to talk to Matt Kim.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's drinking liquor out of a plum right now.
Yeah, the problem with the Metal Gear games is it very much is such a personal thing that like as long as none of the games are incredibly low on the list, it's like, all right, I get it.
What do we think is number 1?
That's a
Metal
good
Gear
question.
Solid
3.
1.
3.
Oh, fuck, you're right.
Yeah.
Shit.
It'll be 3.
It's gotta be
3. I'm going to stay with my heart and say 1. I'm going to stay with my heart and they say 1.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's
Matt
3.
Kim be a bro.
It's gonna be 3.
What do you think? If we're saying 3, what's number 2?
If you're 3 and 1, I think are the top
So
1
you-
and 2. So
okay.
whatever.
I don't know,
See,
dude.
I think 1 is. Well, I'm thinking of my list, right? Out of the core Metal Gear Solids, 1 is the lowest on my list.
You're an idiot, but I love
1
you
is the
so
lowest
much.
on my list.
I love
Listen,
1
it's
still.
innovative. It's the same way that we talk about Super Mario Brothers, the first one, where like it did something. It was impactful. It was innovative and all this stuff. But like all the other ones, just were better, dude. They were better.
No.
Better stories.
2?
2 is better than
I
1.
Oh.
think 2 is gonna be number
2 is better than 1.
2
3
is not going to be number 2.
I also
I'll
think
bet
2
my
is gonna be
shoe
number
on
2.
it.
Metal Gear Solid 2. I
think-
feel like
I think that
has-
game's aged really well.
Yeah,
I great game.
Wait, stop. Please let him bet his shoe so he can't wear it for the rest of the day. Just one.
Betting this blue shoe.
yeah. I think it goes 3, 2, 5,
I think it goes.
1. The IGN list.
I think the IGN list goes. Yeah, 3, 2, 1, and 3, 2, 1. Then it gets weird between 5 and 4 because they both have, I think,
See,
separate flaws.
I think it's 3, 2, 5, 1.
You think they put 5? See, I think it's the
I
Greg
think that
thing.
the love for the gameplay of 5, like the gameplay of 5, is so amazing
It is,
that I think that like it gets that extra boost.
but I think there's just too much knocking for because I think the problem with this and where this conversation gets tough at this part is that we're talking about 5 10s, in my opinion, right? Like. When I say that 1 is at the bottom of my list, I still love 1. Like
Yeah.
1, I think is still a fantastic game. It's just we're comparing masterpieces to each other.
Yeah, for sure. And I do think that with time, like to look back at all of these games, I almost feel like all of them age better. Like I think that we're even more fond of all of them than we used to be.
But I think when we're talking about and I think your prediction too, right? From going from 3 as number 1 and then 2 right under it, I think 2 has aged better than any of the like older games in Kojima's catalog because of the subject matter. Like
Yeah.
you go back and play 2 and your fucking mind is blown by how ahead he was and all that shit. And I think we've talked about that enough on the internet as far as like how predictive Kojima is that I think 2 over time has just gone up the rankings.
Yeah, but it's still not 3. I think 3
It's not 3.
3 people see 3 as kind of the best of both worlds in terms of mastering the gameplay of the old school style and also a standalone story.
Yes.
That is standalone amazing, but also when you add it to the grander mythos, also amazing. And the boss fights. Pretty much all the things that Metal Gear is known for,
Yeah.
3 just does. Even though we've said this a million times, like I'm not a 3 guy. Like 3 would be the bottom of my list of the.
There you go.
See,
up
now
high.
that's crazy.
Up high taste.
That's crazy.
That man's got taste
There
up
we go.
here. You know what I
There we
mean? You
go.
can't win a game showdown. to
But I
save his
can't
life.
wait. I can't wait for Delta. I'm hoping that
Well, this
like,
is back to
refresh
the blessing thing of like, we're talking about a bunch of 10s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like you're. I love this argument because you're talking about games that I fucking love all these games, but it's like, which one do I love the least? You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Oh, great. You're doing some typing. You're doing some thinking over there. It looked like
I was trying to snatch. Yeah, when we really start getting into it, like when we're beyond arguing what's IGN gonna do here, what are they gonna do there? I can't keep that all in the noggin, so I had to start jotting it down.
Chris Hank could text me. That's crazy, Tim. And I
About
get
3?
it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I know, but like the reality is, and this has always been true, I like Solid Snake better than I like Big Boss.
This
Oh,
fucking
man.
guy right here,
I fuck
Snake,
with Big Boss.
solid
That's my
fucking
guy.
Snake. I'm right there with you, Tim. So yeah, for me, for my IGN guess, again, I'm trying to get in the head of Matt Kim. I'm
Uh-huh.
smoking the cigar, drinking the plum. Number 1, Metal Gear Solid. Number 2, Metal Gear Solid 3. Number 3, Metal Gear Solid 2. Number 4, Metal Gear Solid 5. Number 5, PT. Number 6, Metal Gear Solid 4. Number 7, Death Stranding. Number 8, this is Matt Kim speaking, not Greg Miller. Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker. Number 9, Metal Gear. Number 10, Metal Gear 2. 11, Snatcher. 12, Police Nuts. But honestly, those are interchangeable as games I don't know anything about.
I think that those end up higher than the OG Metal Gears. I think the OG Metal Gears are
Wow,
probably
you
at the
think they
bottom.
start the list? I
Yeah.
thought, or you know what I mean? Yeah,
Yeah.
they start the list at 12.
I think so.
I thought about it, but
Snatcher, Police Knots.
did you ever play them?
No.
Okay.
But they are the type of like cult classic-y games. I just don't know how big those cults are.
Yeah,
So
I hear you on that. That's the weird part of this list. I think when you get to the non-Metal Gear,
Yeah.
let's be honest, for all of us at the table, really it starts at Metal Gear Solid, right?
yeah.
So I think
Yeah.
for us, in our knowledge bases and what we do, which is actually fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
I should go back and play Police Knots and Snatchers and Buck Tie.
I've now made my own list in the way that Greg did
Love
as
it,
well.
thank you.
And trying to predict this. I think for IGN, I think number 1 is going to be Metal Gear Solid 3. I think number 2 is going to be Metal Gear Solid 2. I think number 3 is going to be Metal Gear Solid 1. I think number 4 is going to be PT. I think number 5 is going to be Metal Gear Solid 4. 6 is going to be MGS 5. 7, Peace Walker. 8, Death Stranding. And then the rest, I don't really know the ordering, but then you have the rest of the games.
I think Death Stranding is going to be a little higher looking at this. Like looking at your list, Blast.
Yeah.
You had it at 8. Okay.
I think it'll be higher than Peace Walker. I also think it
Fuckers.
I think Metal Gear
You
Solid 4 is going to
fuckers.
get hate.
Oh,
man.
you know what? You're right. Death Stranding, I think, is going to be above at least a Metal Gear Solid thing.
And yeah,
I don't think it's. I feel like statement wise, you don't put it at the bottom of those.
yeah.
If
4
you
just-
like Death Stranding, I
4
guess.
just gets so much hate, man. And I love it so goddamn much, but it is flawed.
That's the thing is
I
like,
get it.
well, somebody in chat earlier was like, nobody's mentioned 4 yet. Like,
Yeah.
I think the fun thing about predicting an IGN list is, I think an IGN list is probably the closest to popular opinion. At least you would imagine. I know sometimes they throw curveballs in there, but
Yeah.
like, for me, I'm trying to predict what does the world, like, what does the audience think?
When we do shit list for the different websites and stuff, I always do feel that IGN's is the one typically that is the most representative of the most gamers, and it also feels like they put a lot more editorial thought into it.
Yeah.
So like it feels like there's more discussions and more people involved in like making sure that they stand by it. So
Yeah.
it feels more like official, even though these are just opinions.
It's the way where like when I think of like when I go to a Polygon for review versus an IGN for like a video game review, I think of Polygon being more like editorial, critical, like you're trying to make statements, whereas
Yeah.
IGN I think is trying to inform buyers.
Totally.
IGN is trying to inform like public like the wide mainstream audience. And so I think when you're making an IGN list, you kind of think in that way of like, okay, 1 million people are going to read this. How am I going? Like, how do I want to inform 1 million people what the correct ordering of the Metal Gear games or Hideo Kojima games is going to be?
4 is my favorite, personally.
Wow.
But I understand that but I am always a fan of when they pull off the end. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like of Endgame and all that
You
stuff.
got to play Death Stranding 2. Death Stranding 2 might be your second favorite.
I showed him.
Yeah,
Oh, it's so good.
pretty cool.
And like you showed him like 20 minutes. It was like hours.
All right.
Before we get into it, is there anything left on the table that we want to talk about? Any more predictions?
I maybe I'll have the egg on my face, Greg, but I just don't think PT is going to be that high. I don't see a world that IGN puts PT above Death Stranding.
See, I have it. I like this conversation because, like, I think PT has the legend status. You know what I mean? Like,
It could have changed horror games forever.
yeah, like I think there's the what could have been. It's like this is a bad example, but it's like we hold up Tupac. You know what I mean? Because like we got those classic albums, and then like we see the potential of like, man, if he was still around, like he could have done this, and this. Even though like Tupac could have released stinkers afterwards. You know what I mean?
Never.
Like.
But he didn't.
But he didn't. But like
Yeah.
we look back on Tupac and Biggie different. I think PT is the Tupac and Biggie.
You're not
of
wrong.
Kojima
You're definitely not wrong.
titles.
But I do think that while that's true, Death Stranding was for years a game that's like, okay, Kojima, is this really a game? Is this really happening? And then is this really just deliveries and stuff? And then it came out and people loved it. So it's like they pulled it off. They pulled off the impossible. They created a new genre. Should we have connected?
The Strand game.
The Strand
The
game.
Strand game.
I feel like that is kind of like seeing it through to the end in a way that like I can't believe how successful Death Stranding is. Legitimately.
That's a great way of putting it.
We're gonna hop in to the IGN list, but first I want to tell you to hop in over to patreon.com/kindafunny and youtube.com/kindafunnygames where you can get the Kinda Funny membership, which allows you to get shows ad free. And speaking of ads, let us tell you about our sponsors.
This episode's brought to you by Cash App. We've all had those moments getting meals out with people that always end in some kind of awkward experience of having to figure out the least complicated way to just get it done. Or even after figuring it out, have you used an app and ended up having to wait days for your money to finally show up? What if we could solve all of that easily? Cash App is a completely different experience, fast, easy, and safe, and a great way to receive and transfer money to family and friends. It's incredibly easy to set up. You just enter your phone or email and some other basic information, no bank account needed, and then there's no waiting around for days. It's your money, you shouldn't have to wait. We love using Cash App because it's fast, it's safe, and it just makes life way less stressful. For a limited time only, new Cash App users can use our exclusive code to earn some additional cash. For real, there's no catch. Just download Cash App and sign up. Use our exclusive referral code KINDAFUNNY in your profile, send $5 to a friend within 14 days, and you'll get $10 dropped right into your account. Terms apply. That's money, that's Cash App. This episode is brought to you by Mood. Let me tell you about the online cannabis company that's revolutionizing how we deal with life's challenges. From sleepless nights to stress-filled days, Mood.com has created an entire line of functional gummies that target specific health concerns with 100% federally legal THC blends. They'll deliver them discreetly right to your doorstep, and you can get 20% off your first order at Mood.com with promo code KINDAFUNNY. I've been having a great time trying out all their different gummies, and I'm loving how each one feels. Their sleepy time gummies will knock you out in about 15 minutes flat. No hangovers, no grogginess, and their Epic Euphoria gummies are perfect for those days when nothing's going right. And best of all, not only does Mood stand behind everything with an industry-leading 100-day satisfaction guarantee, but as I mentioned, listeners get 20% off their first order with code KINDAFUNNY. So head to Mood.com, browse their amazing selection of functional gummies, and find the perfect gummy for whatever you are dealing with. And remember to use promo code KINDAFUNNY at checkout to save 20% on your first order.
What is the context for what you just said?
No,
we can't
we'll
talk
talk
about
about all that later. We'll talk about all that later.
Fair enough.
I don't know where he's getting his facts. I cannot further.
I don't know, guys.
Before we get into the list, I want to get into some super chats real quick. JBC00 says, going through Death Stranding 1 right now. The first two chapters were such a slog, but I've really come around on it in chapter 3. Hell yeah. Raymond writes in and says, I have a friend who thinks KJ is pretentious. Oh, Kojima is pretentious despite loving most of his games. What are y'all's takes, and what should I tell him? One love.
What should I tell him?
What should I tell him?
Everything about this is fucking art. I love you so much, Raymond. Here's the thing. Pretentious, yes. And I think that's the point. Like sometimes like art is
Every
only
auteur
art
is pretentious.
it's like because it has that level of like, what is pretension, Greg?
Like the definition?
No,
being
it was a rhetorical
hoity-toity. You know what I mean? Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's rhetorical, yeah, and I think that's the point, right? Of like, Hideo Kojima is regarded in a far different light than most game directors you will ever hear of. And I don't even mean like meet, because obviously how many game directors will we all have the pleasure and honor of meeting? I mean just like the ones you hear of. Like Cory Barlog is not trying to make a Hideo Kojima game. Hideo is trying to make a very weird thing every time, and a very specific thing, down to the kind of energy drink Sam is drinking and the glasses he's wearing. You know what I mean? Like, he is so in the fucking weeds with the project that I think that inevitably makes it more personal and more a Hideo Kojima game, which again, I think alienates some people who aren't used to having someone that up front. It's the same thing of a Kubrick film or a Scorsese film of like the name meaning something, and then I don't like Scorsese, or I don't get Kubrick. Like,
yeah,
Kojima's trying to make something, as it was well reported and run this. He's trying to make something not everybody gets.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went to the dictionary.com, typed in pretentious. Attempting to impress by affecting great importance, talent, culture, etc., then is actually possessed.
Yeah, I
mean, that's going to be in the eye of the beholder, whether you think Kojima, like his art lives up to what you think his art is trying to live up to.
I mean, the thing is, and this is getting God so into the weeds of the art video games art, what is art conversation, but I think at a certain point when your art is successful and monetized, and then you are making more after that, it's pretentious to begin with. When you're making like creative artsy stuff and not just like sheer product shit, you're still doing something that is coming from a place of, I mean, at that point, the privilege of having the resources and being able to be weird. And I think that there's a level of pretension there from the jump.
I think I'm on the side of that. I don't think I don't think I view Kojima stuff as pretentious, but I totally understand anybody who
100%,
does, right? Like,
100%.
I think his stuff presents pretentious, but like when I play Metal Gear and when I play Death Stranding and when we replayed all the Metal Gears, I'm coming out of that being like, no,
He got the stuff.
I think
He
he
bashed it
attained those heights, but there are plenty of games that I think that are Last of Us 2, I think is pretentious, but I also love Last of Us 2. Like, I think there's plenty of art that is in the eye of the beholder to whether or not you think that it lives up to the lofty things. But I think sometimes you need to aim high. Like, you need to, as an artist, believe in like your own ability, sometimes more than the ability you have to like push it in that way. And sometimes it's like, cool, you might think your stuff is better than it actually is, but because you do, that gives your stuff quality. I don't know if what I'm saying makes sense, but
No, it does. It does. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's that thing where I mean, even with our Death Stranding review, the parts that I was like, I don't know about this or that. It's this whole right that he's making that I'm like, well, but I'm arguing myself because I know what they're trying to accomplish in a way. When you talk to most video games, you don't understand what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
Jay Robert says Kojima games are like a Greg Miller text message made to shock and awe, and not everyone gets it.
Sure.
Senior Lullaby says Kojima is the Villeneuve of the gaming industry. Two Street says MGS franchise, Pokemon, God of War, and Persona are the games that I wish I could wipe my brain and play fresh. Those who are new to it are so lucky. I agree with that. And then let's do two more. One more from Recon Awesome, who says, I hope Peace Walker is ranked higher than 5. 5 not having a great story really brings it down for me. And then Demon Hacker says,
as a Peace Walker fan, I agree, and maybe the biggest fan, I agree, and I do not think that's going to happen. So I would not.
Yeah, the problem with Peace Walker is it needs a loud defender. And without Greg in the room, I don't think that it had. It's just, I mean, it was on the
Matt
PSP.
Kim was too cowardly to call me about
no
it.
matter what, it always just felt like a side thing, even though it's not.
Yeah.
But just because it was on the PSP and even just like the way it's been HD remastered and stuff, it always just feels like and this as opposed to like core.
For me, with Metal Gear Solid Fan and Pain, I believe in two things. One, the story is incomplete, and we all know that, and we've seen the concept art and shit for Chapter 3 and all that shit, right? And then 2, I still think the story's great in Metal Gear Solid 5. I think there's a lot of really good shit.
See, that's where I guess we differ.
Yeah.
Is I do not like the story in 5, even what's there. I feel like
Really?
it's messy. I feel like it's more Death Stranding than it is Metal Gear in the sense of it's just, it to me feels just weird for the sake of being weird. Like that whole opening scene, like I without spoiling it too much, I do not like who characters are. Like, we don't need this in the franchise at that point specifically. But
that's an interesting point. I guess we kind of get spoilery to a degree, but the way they do everything makes, in some ways, 5 feel more like a spin-off than Peace Walker feels like a spin-off.
Exactly.
And then one more from Demon Hacker, who says, Peace Walker's amazing story. Dude falls downstairs. AI the boss develops feelings. Snake fights like 30 big boring mechs.
They sing.
I need to play. I need to go back and finish. I think I played like half of Peace Walker with you. Like
You
in
didn't finish it?
2020. No, I never finished it. Yeah. And you bust out the PS3. All right, let's hop into the IGN
Volume 2's coming,
list.
baby, and I'll gladly replay with you.
Dude, I'm down for that. Of course, this is by Matt Kim. It was posted June 20th, 2025 at 8 a.m. Pacific time.
Okay,
my
good.
God.
Good to know.
Why was he up so early?
Starting with number 12.
Number 12.
Metal Gear Solid 3. No, Police Knots. We got Police Knots
okay.
at number 12, which makes sense. At number 11, we got Snatcher.
Yep. Okay.
All right.
At number 10, we got Metal Gear 2.
Oh, I nailed
Solid Snake. Which means
Metal Gear.
at number 9.
I hated the way that they looked in these games.
Yeah.
Like, look at that. Ew.
But
You know,
it's
like,
how they looked in the box art.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The game is as much as right.
One day they're going to remake it in 3D, you imagine. And
Well,
they're
that's
going to
what
look
I
like
thought
this.
5 was going to be, and I was let down.
Oh, man. We almost got there. Just
We're
one more.
so
Just
close.
one-
The timeline's missing like just one little like 3-year gap.
If Konami didn't fuck over Kojima, we'd be living
We'd
in
be
that
there.
world.
Fix it, Konami.
At number 9, we got
Oh!
Metal Gear Solid 4.
Haters gonna hate, man.
Guns of the Patriots.
Like, oh man, it's only good if you play through all of them.
Which means Metal
we all
Gear-
did.
The original Metal Gear is above 4. That's fucking crazy. That's crazy talk.
It makes sense.
Does it?
Yeah, I think it does.
Metal Gear 1?
Again, what?
4 is my favorite, but like, I don't know. I feel
I'm not gonna look ahead. I'm gonna scroll. I want to read
Read the blurb.
Did Matt say like how they're ranking it and why they're ranking it?
I read all the. I think I read
that was everything you did. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, that was everything that I read was before.
Revisit every genre-defining adventure taken. Here is every game ranked from worst to best. Okay.
Give me a little bit of the reasoning.
Metal Gear Solid 4 Guns of the Patriots was originally designed to be the finale of the series, capping off the Solid Snake storyline with a bang. This mega-budget PS3 exclusive was released in 2008 and set a technological benchmark thanks to its breathtaking graphics and cinematics. Snake is back, but this time he's aged significantly. I'm going to skip forward. Despite being the dramatic final act in an iconic game series, Metal Gear Solid 4 also represents Kojima indulging in some of his worst creative tendencies. While the plot ties up a lot of loose storylines and gives Old Snake a hero's farewell, the majority of cutscenes border on self-parody, including one character's constant need to find a toilet. And Kojima, in general, seems...
All right, that's canon. All right, that's fucking canon from Metal Gear 1.
Shout out to Johnny.
Come on, Johnny didn't take the genomes, all right?
Kojima seems too focused on his nostalgia for older games in the series, which has an impact on the overall execution of Solid Snake's final tale.
Yeah, so look, I get it. They're making a point. I don't agree with the point. I like the nostalgia, and that's why it's my favorite, but I also am not surprised that it's the lowest one.
They also go on to say there are a lot of big gameplay ideas here that aren't fully fleshed out, perhaps due to technological limitations. Some of these mechanics, like the active camo, would finally be refined in Metal Gear Solid 5. Here's the thing, because I think I had this thought, maybe we talked a little bit about this in the Death Stranding 2 review, where I think gameplay-wise, the Metal Gear Solid franchise is really interesting, because like I think the third-person shooter gameplay of Metal Gear Solid 4 kind of lets it down a little bit, but like everything around it does bring it up for me, whereas like gameplay-wise, it doesn't get better than Metal Gear Solid 5.
Yeah, but like, I mean, and this is always a hard conversation to have when we're doing lists comparing them directly, but like, did you feel that way when it came out? Because I remember playing this on PS3 and the third-person shooting, and I was like, God damn, this feels so good. And like comparing it to like the Uncharted of the
active
time.
camo of like laying down and
Yeah.
becoming the floor
worm thing. It's just like, man.
But I
shit
think it's
felt
like, it's
good.
how that interacts with the stealth. And then like when I think about the boss fights, I like the spectacle of the boss fights in MGS4, but like they were kind of the same as they are in Death Stranding 2, where you're just shooting at these
it's
things.
like shooting, right? Or
Shooting galleries.
And I also, that falls into the conversation we were having, right? Of like, does Kojima still have it when it comes to boss fights? And the fact that like, this is, for me, the one where it is like, yeah, the Beauty and the Beast, but it's like, there was a octopus lady, and there was somebody who was like, they had a Psycho Mantis
Beauty and the Beast was the
doll.
biggest letdown because, like, God, the coolest name ever, the coolest idea ever.
Yeah.
And it's just like, the follow through of it just was not ideal.
Exactly. At number 8, we got Metal Gear, the original one.
Okay.
That's crazy that it's above 4. At number 7, we got Death Stranding.
Oh, okay.
So we're to the top 6, which gets interesting.
Okay. Shout out for Peace Walker making it into the top 6.
Yeah,
Not
right?
getting bumped by
I
Death
mean,
Stranding. There was a conversation we were having
PT.
before we went with that one.
Do you think we see PT or Peace Walker next?
Peace Walker. I still think PT. I mean, my prediction list is PT
Top
at
5?
least 5, if not higher. And I think it could be higher, everybody.
PT might not be on the list.
Fuck that.
It's got to be on the
Matt
list.
Kim, I'll drive to your house.
At number 6, we got Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker. All right, so we're at the top 5.
It's one of those where I'm angry about it, but at least I'm happy that it's higher.
not lower than
it's not,
it could've been.
Ted, who
Yeah.
cared about this fucking game? I'm Matt Kim now. I work out. You know what I mean?
Does he work out?
Nah, the voice I was giving him made him sound like a fucking meathead, I thought.
Oh,
so I was
yeah.
like, nah, I've changed my perception of him.
Number 5. I like his.
I got the narrative for Matt Kim.
It's building.
At number 5,
Drinking out of his plum.
we got to scroll for this one. Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain, plus Ground Zeroes. Fuck off. Fuck off, man.
See?
Those are 2 different entries, and Ground Zeroes alone should be top 8.
Huh. Okay.
Again, like, I get it. I feel like this placement makes sense for this game.
Yes.
Yeah, again, I think the let's talk about the legacy of Metal Gear Solid 5, right? And I think the legacy is, the gameplay was so good. And you're back to, but what were the boss fight memorable you know what I mean? There's
You had the
there's,
Flaming Man, you had
there's
the Skull Phase.
there's the kicker at the end of like
Sahelanthropus.
the story. Quiet. Everybody remembers Quiet, of course.
my
Maybe
gosh.
for good, maybe for bad, but you remember Quiet, right? But like that's the thing where it's like you remember the gameplay being so fucking good, but And I always reference the burger thing from Miller, but like, it's like, what do you remember outside of that?
I remember the vibe. I remember the music.
The
I remember
vibe for sure.
The soundtrack. I remember
Fultoning out all your giant things of chemicals.
There being like a disease that's spreading, and you having to figure out like, all right, what the fuck is causing this? And you find the thing, and it's like, okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then I remember like there was like a scene in I think chapter 2 that got real fucked up and real kind of bad for people. That I was like, man, this shit fucking rocks. But also, you finish it, and it's like, where's the rest? Where's the rest of the story? Which is always the kicker for this one.
D-Horse, never forget. D-Horse,
D-Dog.
D-Dog.
D-Quiet. Was Quiet one of those things?
D-Quiet.
At number 4, we got PT.
All right.
So we're to the top 3. Any predictions here? I'm sticking with my original
I'm sticking
one.
with mine too. Metal Gear Solid at 1, Metal Gear Solid 3 at 2, Metal Gear Solid 2 at 3.
Wait, I see. So you're saying MGS1 at number 1?
I think Metal Gear Solid 1 takes it at number 1.
I think
3, 2, 1.
I agree. So I think at number 3, I think we see Metal Gear Solid 1. Number 2, I think we see 2.
Okay.
Number 1, I think we see 3.
I think so.
At number 3, we got Metal Gear Solid 2. Sons of Liberty. Is that different from everything that we said? Greg,
No, that's what I have. I have Metal Gear Solid 2.
Oh, you have it at 3.
I have 2. I go 2, 3, 1.
Wow.
Go count. So
Wow.
next in my list, next should be 3, and then 1 should be 1.
That's wild. Okay. At number 2,
Well, again, like I mean,
I do get it though.
Metal Gear Solid 2 is
hard,
another
man.
great game with a lot to say about where we actually are. Again, Kojima he really sees things, right? But there was the whole thing of the switch to Raiden leaving a bad taste in your mouth. For me, like when I think of Metal Gear Solid and I shut my Metal Gear Solid 2, I still see the tanker. The demo disc off, Zone of the Enders, running it nonstop, blah, 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 playing that Being Snake. So like the Raiden and Big Shell stuff and all that jazz, like I like, but I didn't, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, in games that I think are all 10s or whatever, like I didn't love, you know what I mean? Like I would have rather have been with Snake the whole time. I would have had the shit. I don't know. Like, I don't know. It's a weird one of like, I remember running around that shell so fucking much. And granted, this is the game that I always talk about. Like I platinumed before platinuming was the thing. Every dog tag, every ghost picture, everything on that memory card I did.
Yeah.
So it's like, I know this game really, really well in a way I don't intimately know other games. Whereas just like, for some reason, for me, the Raiden stuff becomes noise at a point.
Yeah, and I get that, especially if you were there. You know what I mean? In
I
the
lived
moment,
it.
like that, living it, I do think that it was such a bait and switch. I didn't play 2 until later, and I knew about that. So
Yeah.
to me, I was actually very happy with how much Snake we got, even as Raiden, like just as like supporting character with you, and I enjoyed that dynamic. But I also just feel like we've said this a million times, but these games are. It's so interchangeable and personal. Like, what are the weird specific things you care about most? Because there's such an argument for Metal Gear Solid 2 of like, it is the pinnacle of that style of the gameplay and like it being more linear and condensed into the stealth.
But I think
sections.
on top of that, I think there's something to be said about Metal Gear Solid 2 being a Metal Gear Solid game for people who are big fans of Metal Gear Solid. You know what I mean? I think 1 and 3, this goes back to what you said earlier, Tim, like 3 and 1 are both standalone to some extent. Like 3 and 1, you can recommend to anybody. Those are anybody's Metal Gear Solid games. 2, it's like you got, if you're, not that you have to be a fan, but if you're a fan of Metal Gear Solid, like 2, I think is peak in that way, where it takes it all the way. It does the weird shit. It does the switcheroo. It has really interesting, really weird story beats, a really cool cast of characters. But I think 1 and 3, for what they do with like, all right, you're starting fresh with either Solid Snake or Naked Snake. We have a cast of like really cool villain characters. They're going to go through the boss fights. We're going to go through a more traditional, like straightforward story.
Yeah.
Anybody can jump into those as their first Metal Gear Solid games and like fall in love with it. It was one of their favorite games of all time.
One of the things tossed out too, and this is maybe a bit dramatic, so you're welcome to reel me back in, guys, but as somebody who lived through it, like Metal Gear Solid to Metal Gear Solid 2 was like Mario World to Mario 64. Like this was the game that like justified my PS2 purchase beyond belief of how can it look like this? What is going on? This looks photoreal. I'm
Metal Gear
shooting
Solid
the
2
melons and they're popping.
Yeah, I think that, 24 whatever years later, like you still think of this as a next gen game.
Yep.
Like I don't think
Yep.
there's many games that reflecting on it like are able to hold up that this is next gen generations later,
Totally.
At number 2, we got Metal Gear Solid 3.
Wow.
Snake Eater. What?
This is a wacky list, man.
Holy
Good job,
shit.
Matt.
Crazy.
Good job, Matt Cam.
Which means that at number 1, you got the original Metal Gear
The one
Solid.
that started it all, except for the 2
Wow.
that came before. But you know what I mean.
Huh.
You know what? I'm not mad at it. Like going through this.
I am mad at it. I
You
am
are
mad at
mad.
it, and I love one. I really love one.
Oh, that's crazy. in the
Kevin, go
background.
wide. Big Boss is up
There we
right
go.
now.
He's here.
That's
Oh,
wild.
I don't know, man.
What don't you like about this?
Because this to me is you don't put Iron Man #1 on the MCU list. Like I feel
Okay,
like
though.
being super real about this. Like there's no when you just start making the arguments besides it was groundbreaking, and you start just talking about like the story, the gameplay, like the bosses, all the things in it. I don't know. Compare that to 2 and 3. I just feel like
Oh, I think the bosses are
definitely
more
3.
memorable than 2.
Bosses are more memorable than 2 for sure.
I mean, like, there's something that's lost, I feel,
Characters,
from
sure.
I think Metal Gear Solid is that rare game for me where old game is old and all that bullshit, but I can replay Metal Gear Solid anytime, where I can go through and love that game and have that feeling again. And I think it is that Metal Gear Solid from 1 to 2 to 3 to X, blah, 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 blah. Like, Metal Gear Solid still feels different. Like, it does, like, it is, like, yeah, sure, it starts off these different things, but, like, sneaking past cameras and blowing up holes in walls and having to get the right key card to do that. Like, there's a I'm a secret agent vibe to it that the other ones do lose, where I become super soldier and that's what I'm doing. And like in a way that like the sneaking suit, the codex stuff, like, I mean, that exists throughout, but I don't think it gets better than here.
I also think Metal Gear Solid, and this is 2 point as well, Greg, that I think it's one of a kind, right? No other game in the Metal Gear Solid series plays like Metal Gear Solid. And like in the same way that you get that graphical jump, that like this MGS2 is next gen, Metal Gear Solid didn't get a game that's like Metal Gear Solid. MGS3 came through and it's like, okay, this plays similarly to MGS2, even though it's a completely different setting and all that shit. I think for Metal Gear Solid 1 being #1, the reason I come back around to it is like, I think such a piece of pop culture, like not just video game culture, in the way that like you ask
man.
But like you ask anybody about Metal Gear Solid 1 that aren't even into video games and people remember that shit.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're going with that argument, like way more people played 2. Way more people
But
played
I feel like
2.
I get more like pop culture references to 1 than 2.
Just Psycho Mantis, right? Like what
I mean,
else?
yeah.
Codec noise, exclamation marks. Not great.
Those are from the older games, right?
Yeah. I don't. It's a weird.
Again,
it's a push and pull.
I love this game. I would rank 1 very high. I would rank 1 above 2 and 3.
Yeah.
But both favorite and quality. But I just think in grand scheme, IGN list, don't like that move.
You did right, Matt Kim. Good job.
Reading
Enjoy
into
your
the
plum
blurb
wine.
a little bit, while the older Metal Gear games were lauded for their
Drink out of a plum. I
Well,
lost my own narrative. Plum wine is something I drink. I was saying he was drinking out of a plum. I was making a
drink plum wine?
reference to The Simpsons when they're in the quartet and Barney has his Yoko Ono and they start, which is a real reference to the Beatles that I don't understand. I just remember The Simpsons part of it. Hey, everybody, it's Greg.
You don't know. Wait, actually, never mind. I'm not going to get into it. While the
Do you know that? I mean, Yoko
Ono?
and John. No, Yoko and John doing something with a hat and a plum floating in it. of
Oh
alcohol.
no, that's just something I don't know. I thought you were saying you don't know who Yoko was.
No, I know who Yoko Ono is.
Yeah. While the older Metal Gear games were lauded for their creative gameplay, 1998's Metal Gear Solid on PlayStation took that innovation and creativity to the next level. At the time, its cinematic storytelling techniques were considered second to none. Its interactive movie-like presentation demonstrating Kojima's love and understanding of cinema. And then it goes on about the plot, but there you go. Congratulations to Metal Gear Solid 1.
Here, see, this is when I was talking. I said earlier, Matt was drinking alcohol out of a plum. This is what I was envisioning: a hat with a plum floating in it.
How did we get here?
Yoko Ono gag, you know what I mean? This is Greg doing it.
Guys, for shit list, usually we rank these lists or we rate these lists. Is it the shit or is it shit? Here's the thing. It's tough to fuck up a Kojima list because it's the MCU thing of like, you know what the top 5 are. Like, you know what the cream of the crop are, and then you kind of have tiers. I think they got the tiers right. MGS4 is a wild one to me where I think having that game that low is kind of crazy, but also I get it. I get not liking certain aspects of certain games and how that would get you there. I'm going to say thumbs up. I think this list is good.
I'll give it a thumbs up, yeah, mainly just because like we were talking about a lot of great games and a lot of the ordering of this is kind of just very, very subjective. I will say I don't want to give this like a 2 thumbs up because I just feel like there's no bravery here.
Whoa!
You know? They're not trying to say anything. And I like when lists are trying to say something.
Here's the thing of like the reason one of the big reasons it's definitely not a 2 thumbs up for me is we got to have a conversation about PT above Metal Gear Solid fandom.
Yeah.
I get it. I get that PT is
I give this a 2 thumbs up. This is a great list.
2 thumbs up.
And I'm excited to read through all the justifications. What it is? Because I just started scrolling. Did you see this honorable mention? Zone of the Enders in Boktai. Although not the director, Hideo Kojima is credited as the creator of Zone of Enders franchise, so we thought it was worth a mention too. Meanwhile, Kojima is also credited as creating Boktai, the Game Boy Advance action RPG about vampire hunting. Blah blah blah. So there you go. That's why they weren't there and why we were confused.
Good shout out on that. I scrolled through because I was trying to get to the next number.
I hear you.
But yeah, I don't know. I get that PT is Tupac in my analogy, but like fucking Metal Gear Solid 5, J. Cole. Actually, no, that's a bad one. That's a bad one. Because I love J. Cole, but nobody's saying J. Cole's better than Tupac. It's
Plus,
a good game.
I want you to know the movie trailers, like you know how they use like slow down versions of like pop songs.
Yeah.
We're at a point now that J. Cole's songs are
Yeah?
being used.
Let's
Yeah, for
fucking
the
go.
movie Strangers 2, the horror movie.
Oh,
or
okay.
She Knows.
Fuck yeah.
But it's like a slow, creepy version. I'm like, yeah, we made it, baby.
Let's go. Of course, this has been Kind of Funny Gamescast. Each and every weekday, we get together and talk about the biggest reviews, previews, and topics in video games live on YouTube, Twitch, and podcast services around the globe. If you love what we do, support us with the Kind of Funny membership on Patreon, YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts to get all of our shows ad-free. Watch us record them live and get a daily exclusive show. Catch today's KHD on YouTube or podcast services. Catch the big old stream that's about to happen over on twitch.tv/kindoffunnygames. It's Death Stranding 2. It's Roger. It's Mike. They're walking. And then tomorrow, we're going to walk on the Embarcadero as Greg is throwing his parade to celebrate his championship win, starting at the Ferry Building at 10 a.m. and going all the way to Square Pie, guys. By noon? Is that the plan?
Yeah,
Noon?
yeah.
All right, there you go. Until next time, it's been our pleasure to serve you.